and welcome to the next episode of Women in Cybersecurity. Today, myself and Casey will be our hosts, and we are joined by Jess. So let's go ahead and do some introductions. My name is Cydney Stude. I am a service engineering consultant here at AWS. Casey, I'll pass it to you.
I am a TDIR consultant with the AWS CERT here at AWS. Yeah.
Hi all, my name's Jess Modini and I'm a senior technologist at AWS.
Awesome. Super excited to have y'all. We are going to jump into Jess's story today. Jess is going to share her journey in cybersecurity and a little bit about her career and any tips that she has for people interested. So this is going to be a really awesome episode. Thanks for tuning in. So we should jump in. Jess, so can we start with maybe career background? Like, how did you get into cybersecurity? What made you interested?
Yeah, certainly. So I actually started my career in uniform in the Air Force. Back then, cybersecurity wasn't a field quite yet. We had electronic warfare, but definitely not the cyber industry that we have today. I've spent the last 12 to 14 years working across private enterprise engineering, a bit of work for state government and federal government here in Australia. And the last kind of 5 to 6 years, I've been focusing mostly on national security and defence. Most recently, I was the engineering manager at the Australian Cybersecurity Centre, which is part of the Australian Signals Directorate. So yeah, it's a bit of an evolution, really going from engineering and then moving more into IT in the last kind of 5-6 years of my career.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I started out in the military, and I was lucky enough to be cybersecurity before in the military. I'm curious, we have a transition program over here called Hiring Our Heroes. Do you guys have anything like that to help like transition from maybe like the engineering field to the cyber field, or even like staying within just getting out of the military over there?
Not to my knowledge, or at least not when I was transitioning. Cybersecurity wasn't really much of a recognised field in defence to the same degree. In fact, it was mostly done by civilian organisations, not military organisations. But our Defence Force certainly does have general transition programs for military to civilian, which are great as well. I just kind of decided that I was really interested in cybersecurity, and I did a bit of study in that space, and I went, wow, this is really cool. Like, cybersecurity just touches absolutely everything, especially in the engineering space. Like, you can't build a submarine and forget that, you know, it has cyber physical interfaces. So I thought, why not? Yeah.
That's awesome. So, okay, so you said you're interested in cybersecurity and you've transitioned in. What does a day in the life look like for you?
Oh my gosh. So every day is completely different for me at AWS. I'm really lucky. I've got quite a broad scope and I work across public sector, Australia and New Zealand. So I pick kind of, tricky technical problems that really span multiple customers. So one of the coolest things that I've been working on recently is a cyber threat intelligence sharing project. So that's working with our Australian Cybersecurity Centre. They have a capability where you can ingest a threat feed, and I've done some work to make sure that AWS customers can action that real time. So it's kind of like a neighborhood watch system. If you're looking out on your street, for example, and you see that there's someone acting a little bit suspicious in the bushes, you probably want to lock your doors, and you probably want to tell all of your neighbors to lock their doors as well. So it's a way of being able to do that communication, machine speed or real time, so that you can send out that alert, block and lock everyone's doors and entryways, and make sure that everyone is safe within your trust community. I think it's just something that's really, really important. It's something that is gaining a lot of attention globally. So it's great to be able to contribute to that type of thing to help Australians be safe.
That's awesome. I haven't heard of that before. So how, like, as someone who's just learned about it, how do I get involved or learn more?
Yeah, so I mean, everyone's happy to reach out to me if you want to find out a little bit more about what we're doing on the AWS side of things. A lot of the intelligence agencies and cybersecurity agencies globally will have their own threat feed and their own partnership program, so you can sign up to the ACST partnership program to be part of it. But yeah, certainly one of the coolest things is being able to do everything machine speed, so have all of that, Lambda automation to make sure that if you get a known bad domain from a really, really bad actor, that you can instantly tell Guard Duty and Route 53 DNS Resolver or whatever security services you're using to update with that intelligence and make sure that you're protected.
That's awesome. We really need to have a really good relationship between our teams, because we can definitely contribute to that.
Yeah, and for context, Casey and I are on the AWS Customer Incident Response team. And so what we do is we're volunteer firefighters. So we show up if there's a fire, but we help, we assist and advise customers when there's a security event, and we see all sorts of things. And it's always an adventure. Like you said, every day is different. Casey, I know Casey is on the front lines. I'm more of a developer on the development and everyday operations side. But Casey, you're on the front lines doing the cool stuff.
Cydney makes it possible for us to do what we do. But yeah, it's just every time, I couldn't tell you, every time I'm on watch, there's just something new that's happening or we're learning about. And so I know that between the two teams, we could absolutely have great relationships. And I know, Richard and Matt from our team that are over there, but yeah, we could do some great things together.
Heck yeah. Yeah, you guys are absolutely so critical. I think the CETA's capability helps reduce the fires that you need to put out. But there's certainly that feedback loop, right? It's really interesting to understand what you guys see, what's actually happening, so that, we can feed that back and make sure that, some of those really obvious doors that are open are closed in advance before it becomes a problem.
Definitely.
Yeah, that's awesome. A little bit of a topic change, but I'm curious, what kind of educational background did you have throughout your journey to where you are today? When you first started, did you have, okay, I know there's a few questions, but my thoughts are when you first started, did you have a degree? Did you have a bunch of degrees? What about now? What does the learning path look like for you?
Yeah, so it never ends for me. I started off studying engineering and then moved to an undergraduate degree in security, intelligence, and counterterrorism. Since completing that, I've done 5 masters. So they encompass international relations security, project management, systems engineering, cybersecurity, and space operations. I do sleep, I promise. And I'm also my final year of PhD, and that study is in cyber epidemiology. So looking at ways of using enhanced compartmental models to profile malware, because human diseases, biological diseases actually spread very similar to malware and other computer style viruses.
That is so interesting, man. Do you have tips about that for someone who's okay, so you were working while you did some of these degrees, right? How did you balance that?
Yeah, so I've always been working and studying at the same time, which sounds a little bit masochistic, but you kind of get into a rhythm. If it's just, I just kind of have always loved learning, and I've always picked a topic that's been related to the work that I've been doing. So for example, when I was working in defense, defense uses systems engineering as their kind of engineering process and capability lifecycle model. So I thought, hey, that'd be really cool. I should learn more about that. So yeah, look, the tips are just kind of make sure that you maintain a bit of a schedule, a bit of an outline, and you tell yourself, okay, this week I'm going to do this much. It's certainly easier for coursework because you've got due dates, right? Someone's going to yell at you and say, hey, you need to get this assignment in. It's a little bit harder with thesis work because you're no one's going to chase me. No one's going to know. I could just, wait a week. But yeah, it's certainly a juggle, and it certainly requires a lot of organizational skills.
That's awesome. Wow. So when you first started in the cybersecurity field, did you already have a degree in something cyber related?
No. So I was actually still working in more of the engineering space and defense capability space when I realized that cybersecurity was coming up a lot. It was, earlier in the days where, cyber worthiness and some of those concepts were coming up in defense and national security. And when it, got added in as the fifth domain of warfare. So I thought, well, this is the future. This is something that I really should be across. So I decided that I would, do a master's in that space. And I loved it. I thought it was just so important. And one of the things that I really enjoy about the work that I do, even still at AWS, is that mission around national security. You're really contributing to something that truly matters. I don't know. It was like duck to water, and I haven't looked back.
Too cool. That topic is close to home because I have a non-traditional pre-cybersecurity career too. I didn't have a degree in like engineering or anything when I started at AWS. I had a background in retail management and I self-taught like programming languages. I got like a few certifications, like AWS certifications and a couple like industry level, and just I taught up to a certain point, and now I'm balancing two and finishing a software engineering degree. So I guess that was a bit of a selfish question because I was like, how did you do it? Because it's a lot. But I think the overarching point here is you don't have to have a degree to start in the field. Like if cybersecurity is interesting, you can just do it, right? Like teach yourself, learn every day. Like, do you have any tips for like how to just do it?
So I did that, right? So whilst I got the degree, I mean, cyber is such a broad field that to be honest, I don't think it really equipped me with the true technical skills that I needed to do more technical cyber roles. So I actually took a role doing I can't really talk about it in detail, but doing intrusions analysis and some digital forensics type work. And I just learned by doing. I remember I had this colleague, his name was Patrick, and he was kind of training me up on some of the forensic kind of tips and tricks on how to find the dodgy thing when you're scrolling through Wireshark. And he would give me these sample PCAPs, so packet capture files, and say, find the bad stuff. And I remember it took me a while, and you've got to just build up, that skill to figure out what looks suspicious. And it's like a spidey sense, I think. And you can't learn that from a textbook. But I remember the day that he gave me the wrong PCAP and it didn't actually have anything bad in it. And I kept going to him saying, Patrick, oh my gosh, like I can't find the bad stuff. Can you please help me out? Can you give me some hints and tips? And he was like, this one isn't even that hard, Jess. Like, what is wrong with you? Why can't you figure this out? And it took a week, and I was like, I give up. I've checked everything 5 times. I'm clearly just so stupid. I give up. Like, I can't work in cyber. This is not for me. And he double checked his file directory, and he went, oh my God, did I send you this file? I said, yeah. He goes, oh my God, I'm so sorry. There was nothing in that. But yeah, I think it's like learning by doing, right? And I'm sure you guys do that type of thing every day. Being hands-on, working with customers, I think is the best way to learn. Sure, studying, helps. And I think we've got better tooling. I currently teach master's subjects in cybersecurity around cyber resilience and information assurance at the Australian Defence Force Academy. Trying to find ways every single day to make it more practical and more hands-on, because certainly the best way to learn.
I just really, I don't know how you sleep with all of that going on. But we definitely have like similar stories, but all 3 of us apparently started in the field and didn't have degrees yet. And we finished them out as we were working. And I'm the same way. I started out just, lonely incident responder, and then I moved over to forensics and stuff inside of the military. And I had never done forensics, and they're just like, all right, here's a hard drive, figure it out. Like, go look through it. And it's like, okay, thanks. Not very helpful, but I'll do it. And it is really, that's how you figure stuff out. That's how you get like these keen little eyes of this doesn't look right. Something about this isn't right. So I just, the fact that you're teaching and you're doing a PhD and you're doing all of these things, it's absolutely amazing.
Yeah, it is. It's so amazing. And Yeah, I mean, I think it really highlights, like, if you're interested in something, for anybody watching who wants to transition into cybersecurity or is like interested but doesn't know where to start, like just pick what you're interested in and learn it. Like if watch a video. And so for me, I took a networking certification after I started at AWS, and I learned that networking is not my thing because that was the hardest certification to get through. It's just not my cup of tea. But when I started taking like software courses and like programming courses, I was like, oh, this is natural. So like whatever is natural, whatever you're naturally interested in is going to be so much more fun to learn. So yeah.
Yeah, certainly. And I think like the field evolves so quickly as well. Like cybersecurity 5, 6 years ago was very different to cybersecurity today. And I think you've always got to be willing to learn new things, try out new things, and, evolve with it. I know certainly, that the role that I did 2 years ago is probably not a role that existed maybe 6 or 7 years ago. So yeah, I think you've got to be willing to always learn new things. And I know for me, coming from that project management background, coming from that engineering background has really helped me take quite a multidisciplinary approach to cybersecurity. So rather than just being the hacker in the hoodie, sitting there in the dark, scrolling through packet captures with bad stuff that doesn't exist, being able to actually take an engineering view on things and blend those skills together, I think is where I've added a lot of value, because you're looking at things differently. And we need that in cybersecurity. We need people that think differently. We need all of that diversity to contribute to all of the crazy, evolving, big problems that are looming at us as this field evolves that fast.
Oh, that's awesome. And I kind of think kind of what you're saying is there's just so much in cybersecurity. We're all connected, but we do vastly different jobs and have vastly different interests and things. I'm an incident responder. Cydney's a software engineer. You're doing threat intel. It's all connected. It all works together, but it's all very different things.
Yeah, absolutely. Wow. So this has been such an awesome episode. We're coming up on time, so I want to make sure we have time to ask Jess. Do you have any key takeaways for anybody watching? Like if you could leave the audience with one thing.
I think it's very easy for you to go, oh my gosh, cyber is really scary. I don't have those skills. I think just don't be scared. Just go for it. When I jumped in, it sounds like you guys were in similar positions. You've just got to learn on the fly. I don't think that anyone should feel like they need to take 5 years to study something or, get to any certain point where they can walk in the door into a cybersecurity role. I think there's so much that you can bring based on whatever experience you have in the past to a role in cybersecurity. So be confident in that. Take the risk, be brave, and just give it your best shot, because you will nail it.
That's awesome. Jess, thank you so much for coming on the show. Casey, thank you for hosting as well. So we will go ahead and wrap up now. Audience, please stay tuned for the next AWS On Air session.